Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Almighty be with all of you. Welcome to our ninth Friday talk, where I would like to share with you today about something really important due to what's going on in America today after the death of George Floyd. We spoke about that last week, but I really would like to share with you about the levels of racism in the Quran, the three levels that we can see it mentioned in the Quran, the three categories that are so much important for people to pay attention to because it could destroy the individuals, it could destroy the societies, it could destroy the civilizations. And that is the way you deal with the concept of looking at the other. So, uh, before talking about that, also, I just would like to say that today we are moving toward, a new era in America, and we are seeing that in the streets of the United States. I myself, yesterday, I went to Washington, and I observed and I spoke to those who are protesting, and I really could see something happening in the United States today. I have been here in this country for almost 30 years. I have never seen it before the same way I have seen it in my own eyes yesterday. And I will be sharing that, of course, in a future episodes and programs that I'll be sharing with all of you. But back to our topics today, the three levels of racism, we see it, how it is impacting America today, and how it is impacting the international presence of America on the international scene. Uh, we are seeing how this is going to impact everybody here in the United States if we do not handle this issue the way that we have been reading about it in the Quran, in the Bible, in the Torah, and the Word of God, how to treat one another. So I would like just to say also that racism was the main cause and the first story mentioned in the Quran about Satan and how he was kicked out of heaven because of racism. When God told him to bow to Adam, and he said, "No, I'm not going to bow." And the Quran is telling us when God asked him, "Why you did not bow when I instructed you to do so?" He said, "I am better than him. You created me from fire and you created him from dust." So that by itself was the reason why Satan was asked to get out of heaven, and he lost his position, as we were told in the Quran over and over again. So back to the three levels of racism, we see that the first one, as it was mentioned in Surah Al-Hujurat, Surah 49, verse 13, where God is saying that I created you different for a reason, and that diversity meant to help you to know one another. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا. O mankind, we created you from a single pair of male and females and made you into nations and tribes, races, colors, tongues, languages, ethnicities, different kind of understandings and mentalities. But Allah is saying that all of this is for you to know one another by talking to one another. And then he said, truly the most honorable of you by the sight of God are those who are most righteous. And that is the preference. So that's number one. The second level of racism mentioned in the Quran, that is racism within the same culture, within the same religion, within the same kind of people. But some would think that they are better than others because they are more rich, they are more powerful, and the others are less than them. in so many ways. So they are the same, but they look down at others because of the status and because of the class. And we have seen this repeated so many times in the Quran when others would ask their prophets, okay, we will follow you, but why those, the lawless, those who are less rich, they are not like us, they are following you. Can we be with you in a different time, different sessions? We don't want to be with the same people. If you just kick them out, if you just ask them to leave. For example, it was mentioned in Surah Hud, Surah number 11, verse 27, when the followers of Noah also asked him the same thing. And it says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فقال الملأ الذين كفروا من قومه ما نراك إلا بشرا مثلنا وما نراك اتبعك إلا الذين هم أراذلنا بادي الرأي وما نرى لكم علينا من فضل بل نظنكم كاذبين. The notable among Noah's own people who had refused to follow him responded, we merely consider you as a human being like ourselves, nor do we find among those who follow you except the lowliest of our folk, the men who follow you without any proper reason. We see nothing in you to suggest that you are any better than us, rather than we believe that you are to be liars and among the liars. So that shows you that they do not want, to follow until he will have a special session for them. In another verse, he would respond to them, وَمَا أَنَا بِطَارِدِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. I'm not going to ask those who believed to go away and just have a session for you. In another verse, verse 30, the same chapter, it says, وَلَا أَقُولُ لِلَّذِينَ تَزْدَرِي أَعْيُنُكُمْ لَن يُؤْتِيَهُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا. I'm not going to tell those whom you are looking down at them that Allah is not going to give them any goodness out of His blessings. Also, we see that in Surah Ash-Shu'ara, Surah number 26, verse 111. And it says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قالوا أنؤمن لك واتبعك الأرذلون. They answered, shall we accept you even though it is the meanest of people who follow you? And again his response would be in verse 114, وَمَا أَنَا بِطَارِدِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. I am not going to repel those who chose to believe. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also, he had the same questions from the people of Mecca, from the people of Quraysh, who considered themselves in a higher level than the poor and the needy. And they asked the Prophet, okay, if we are going to come and listen, those who are, poor, they smell bad. Can you have a special session for us? But the Quran is telling the Prophet, don't ever listen to a request like that. ولا, as it says in Surah Al-An'am, verse 52, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تطرد الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ما عليك من حسابهم من شيء وما من حسابك عليهم من شيء فتطردهم فتكون من الظالمين. O Muhammad, do not drive away those who invoke their Lord in the morning and in the evening, seeking His pleasure all the times. You are by no means accountable for them, just as they are by no means accountable for you. If you still drive them away, you will become among the wrongdoers. And the last example I would like to quote is from Surah Al-Kahf, Surah number 18, verse 28, which says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تطع من أغفلنا قلبه عن ذكرنا واتبع هواه وكان أمره فرطا. O Muhammad, keep your soul patiently with those who call on their Lord morning and evening, seeking His face, His essence. Let not your eyes pass from them, desiring the adornments of the life of the world. And that shows you what is happening today. People might look at themselves that they are better than others. And the Quran is saying, always remember the blessings of Almighty on you, that you had nothing at one point, and it is He who gave you. It is He who gave you also the health, not only money. It is He who is always making you to enjoy the things that He blessed you with. And the third level of racism, you see it in the Quran, and that is when you don't do it to other colors and other ethnicities and other religions, and it's not the one that you see it is done in the same race and in the same color and in the same people, in the same culture, but it is when it is done here inside your heart. Even if you didn't say anything in your tongue to anybody, but in your heart you are having that kind of racism when you are looking down at others, you will see the Quran is saying in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 33, قل إنما حرم ربي الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن والإثم والبغي بغير الحق وأن تشركوا بالله ما لم ينزل به سلطانا وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. Tell them, O Muhammad, my Lord has forbidden major sins, whether overt or hidden. So the Quran is calling this kind of racism or negative pride inside you a major sin. And that's why people always have to guard and pay attention to their inner thoughts, to their heart, and the whispers in their hearts, if it is coming from Satan, from their ego, or they are having those feelings from Almighty. Once you feel that kind of negative pride that you are better than others, then watch out, because this might be coming to destroy you. Because that by itself, the Quran is considering that as a major sin. قُلْ إِنَّمَا حَرَّمَ رَبِّيَ الْفَوَاحِشِ. Say, my Lord has forbidden major sins, indecent acts, whether overt or hidden, and also He forbid all form of sins, wrongfully transgression, and He has forbidden that you associate with Allah in His divinity, that for which He has sent down no sanction, and that you ascribe to Allah things of which you have no sure knowledge that they have taken place. So, in conclusion, I just would like to mention that what we are seeing around us today should help us to think again and again and again. And especially when I look, since the 90s and early 90s, yes, America became superpower after the collapse of communism. But being a superpower is a blessing in one hand and a tremendous responsibility on the other hand. You need constantly to assure yourself with the proper and the true meaning of super, and how to continue to be super with your manners, with your behavior, and above all, with humbleness. And also, when we add to it power, superpower, power is also to be used properly to support justice and not to create aggression toward others. So, superpower is really a very, very heavy term. And if this country would like to continue to be giving examples to others, we have to look inside ourselves and to see how we are living our lives toward others. Do we have racism inside of our hearts that is not spoken by our tongues? Or do we have some kind of acts that really need to be corrected? And that's why we are worshiping Almighty all the time, every day, in order to become better human being, in order to be a better society, in order to be a better nation, and to help others also to walk on the path of goodness all the time. I would like to end by reciting some verses from Surah Al-Kahf, Surah 18, verses 27 and 28. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واتل ما أوحي إليك من كتاب ربك لا مبدل لكلماته ولن تجد من دونه ملتحدا واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تطع من أغفلنا قلبه عن ذكرنا واتبع هواه وكان أمره فرطا. Allah has spoken the truth. The translation for verse 27 and 28 of chapter 18 is the following. And recite, O Muhammad, what has been revealed to you of the book of your Lord. There is no changer of his words, and never will you find in other than him a refuge. And keep yourself patient by being with those who call upon their Lord in the morning and the evening, seeking his pleasure, and let not your eyes pass beyond them, desiring adornments of the worldly life. Do not obey one whose heart we have made heedless of our remembrance, and who follows his desire, and whose affair is ever in neglect. God spoken the truth, and thank you very much for joining, and I look forward to being with you in another Friday talk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.